I don't know of anyone that hasn't gone to places they have not felt a spirit in whatever shape or size, but you could just feel that spiritual energy. And we're so lucky to have the leader of that group that happens to be here today. Please welcome our wonderful Reverend Dr. Ayleen Augustine.
Yay!
Good morning, everyone.
Good morning.
So, there and back again. It has been just such an honor and a pleasure to be able to go and experience the things that we've experienced, and to be able to come back and be able to share that with you, our community. And what we're going to be doing is that each person who feels called, is going to come up and share a little bit about, their experiences and what it meant to them. Because really, it's the idea of a place affecting you, really on a core spirit level, is so much more powerful when you get the chance to share that perspective. Each person who went has an experience and was able to connect with something in a way that nobody else did. Their journey was unique to them, and I really wanted to have each one of them be able to share a part of that journey with you today. So we're going to have the sharing, and then at the end we're going to be showing some slides accompanied by some music, just a little taste of some of the places we went and some of the things that we encountered. And really, first and foremost, one of the things that affected me and was so tremendously special to me was seeing each one of these ladies taking a journey that was pretty special. It was such an honor to watch them each struggle. They were each challenged in a different way, and yet they rose to that challenge with grace and with the most wonderful sense of spirit that I could have ever hoped to see. And I am so tremendously proud of each and every one of them. And especially Gail, Donna's sister Gail, who's with us in spirit. And she sent over some words that she was going to have Donna share on her behalf. So, over here you will see a map that has highlighted all the places we went. And as you can see, we covered a lot of ground. And there are items over here on this table that, were some things that we picked up, some informational things. Please feel free after the service to come up and take a look at that. And we're going to be doing the slideshow. We won't be explaining each and everything, but afterwards, because what I'd like to do is just have everybody kind of experience it without words. And then afterwards, we'll be happy to run back through it if you're just like, oh, what was that? Or, oh, where was that? So just kind of keep in your mind, oh, I want to know where that is. And, I'll leave it set up so we can go through that and you can have that identified for you. So, let the journey begin. And so, whoever feels called, who would like to step up and share what they have to share. That would be those of you who went. Donna's going to be fun. And understand that a part of the actual, consolidation of this journey is the sharing of it with community. And this is not an easy thing, especially if you're not used to it. And so I know that each one of you, will create a safe space for each and every one of the speakers here.
And you have an option. You can either stand behind
Yes.
the podium.
Would you like to stand behind the podium?
No.
Okay.
Thank you.
First, I'm going to read my sister Gail's paper here. Gail is a Reiki master, and she is currently living in Wilmington, Delaware, and she goes to a spiritualist church, and I feel she's far more advanced than I am spiritually, and it was just wonderful to have her on this trip with me. I love her dearly. I call her my Irish twin. We're 18 months apart. All right, so this is the Druid Quest 2015 with Dr. Ayleen and Gail Freeman Zoll. The first thing I'd like to say are 2 words that come to mind. Thank you for including me in this profound experience. This trip opened my eyes to sights and experiences I'd never imagined in my wildest dreams, and for that I'm grateful. Our first morning in Glastonbury, Somerset, we went to see St. Michael's Tower at the Tor. It was our first challenge as we maneuvered the steep, narrow walkway with the wind. We stopped at the Listening Stone, and I believe you'll see a picture of that, and paid our respects before continuing up the 518 feet to the top. It was a magical place with beautiful views. We were all very happy to have made it to the top. At the Chalice Well, I enjoyed the intense feeling of peace and joy in the lovely gardens and relished the silence. I was serenaded by many birds as they danced through the trees. I was amazed at the feelings and sights of Glastonbury's Abbey. I felt a physical wave of energy wash over me. It almost knocked me over. Walking around the ruins, I felt wobbly. I was trying to focus on the sacredness of this area. It had gone through several transformations which I could relate to. Merlin's Cave was a tricky climb down stairs and rocks, but lovely once we got to the secluded cove. We did a ceremony which was electrifying, and I felt serene. In Penzance, we visited the Celtic Chalice and Wishing Well. It was a beautiful walk into the woods. Dr. Ayleen gathered us for a ceremony and a guided meditation. I felt 3 spirits with me. The first was in violet light, and I felt a message of be of service. The second was in blue light, and I felt speak your truth. The third was backlit in green, and I felt love yourself, then others. I put my hand on the thorn tree and had a fleeting recollection of a past life regression where I was at the foot of the cross of Jesus at his crucifixion, crying that I was powerless to help him. In Land's End, Jamie took us to Boscawen and Circle, Penzance, Cornwall. From the beginning, you could feel it was sacred land. We walked in single file in silence, holding hands as we honored our ancestors. As we entered the circle, we surrounded the center spire. You'll also see this picture on the slides. There are 19 stones, and after a ceremony, I approached each stone with reverence, starting on the west side of the ring, laying my hands on each stone, sending Reiki, and speaking the Ho'oponopono reconciliation statement. I love you, I'm sorry, please forgive me, thank you. When I was about halfway, I saw a ladybug and totally forgot what I was doing. I communed with her for a while and then continued to lay hands in silence. The very next stone said, welcome back, and gave me a vision of a young girl bringing remedy herbs from a garden and a pottery jar, concerned that I had the right ones, to an older woman who looked like Jan. I knew I was an apprentice to this woman, and the woman was using them on her patient. I moved on to the next stone. The saga continued. I was part of a group of girls, and we were instructed by the older women on becoming healers and midwives for people from far and wide who would come to see us. I felt we weren't truly accepted. We were helping the older woman deliver a baby. I thought, how do I know I'm not imagining this? I need proof, validation. I moved on to the next stone, and the messages didn't continue. I was feeling mystified. I completed the circle at the quartz stone, which was the mother stone, took a video of the circle, and went back to my first message stone and took a picture. I went to the entrance and waited in awe for the group. I told Anne of my uncanny experience, and she said, I should talk to Jan. She had a similar vision. To this day, I'm totally thunderstruck, and I feel it's a dream I've awakened from. So you get a story. Not my story. I am so blessed to have shared an experience of a lifetime with my dear sister Gail, guide Jamie George, and my friends from Center of Creative Living. I was looking forward to nourish my soul, and it was so. It was Spirit who helped me climb the many steps to the Glastonbury tour in the heavy wind, gusts, and at times pelting rain. It was Spirit who helped me over the challenging rocks in Rocky Valley so I could view the Bronze Age labyrinth carved on the wall. And it was Spirit who helped me down the steep steps to Merlin's cave, below King Arthur's castle. Thank you, Spirit. At the Boscawen Circle, we had a meditation before walking among the stones. I had a beautiful imagery of white satin waves in my mind. When I opened my eyes, my visual field was filled with sparkling black orbs, which changed to white orbs and then disappeared. I felt surrounded by angels. As I walked among the stones, there was no conversation with the stones. I felt at a loss to communicate with them. Later I spoke with Gail, and she recommended I use the Ho'oponopono reconciliation statement. At the next stone circle, Avebury, I approached the first stone, leaned into it, and repeated the statement. I love you. Please forgive me. Thank you. Suddenly my body started rocking. I was being rocked by the stone. I moved to the next stone. The rocking began once again. The next stones I approached began giving me their names. One was Angel, one was Sad Stone, and you'll see these on the slides. I'm sure you'll recognize them. I felt sadness from the stones, and I felt their concern for this planet. I also felt welcomed and loved. One of the most fascinating facts I learned from Jamie is that there is a line across the land that can be drawn over southern England, extending from Land's End in the southwest to the east. This line is called the St. Michael's Line and includes St. Michael's Mount in Penzance, Glastonbury Tir, and Avebury. And you can actually, if you look at the map, you can kind of see that there is a line going across. And the sacred sites we visited, many of them were on this line. Another memorable spot was standing on Weary Old Hill by the Holy Thorn Tree, as Jamie described how the area was once surrounded by water. Joseph of Arimathea landed there and stuck his staff in the ground. The thorn tree took root, the thorn staff took root, and is now a tree covered with ribbons and offerings. Jamie stood on the Glastonbury, we were on Weary Old Hill, and he described the Glastonbury zodiac that surrounded us, and we were in Pisces. I love the history of the places we visited. I returned feeling grounded in spirit, and I look forward to our next spiritual journey. Thank you.
Thank you, Donna, and thank you, Yale. Alrighty, next up. I'm being told I'm next. So.
Someone next to me says, I'm next. She's been excited about it.
Good morning, everyone.
Good morning.
You know, for me, this was a very different kind of trip because I've actually been on this journey 2 other times with Dottie and our adventurers, but there were 30 some odd people on those trips. And this one, there were just the 7 of us and Jamie. Amazing, amazing. Each and every moment of this trip was so different than the previous trips that I had had, because in the previous trips, I had a lot of past life negativity that I had to work through. I had a lot of anger and sorrow and just, you know, fear and things that had hit me so hard, especially in the areas like Avebury, where just something hit me really hard the first journey that I almost walked away from the group and didn't come back. Sorry, I'll try not to get emotional. But this time was different. It was so peaceful. And it was beautiful. And every moment was a joy. And to feel the welcoming back. And Glastonbury was like going to play again in my childhood home. It was like every moment and every joy that I could possibly feel. I thought I was going to fly off the end of the tour as we were almost up at the top and the wind was blowing so hard and my rain slick was like flapping everywhere. Thank you, darling. And, you know, it was amazing. And I really felt like if I'd done that, I'd be like the flying nun, you know, that was off the edge. But where I really awakened, I mean, it was really fun and play, but where I really awakened was when we got back to Merlin's cave. And when we did not just the ceremony, and Jamie led us in the Druid's prayer that he knows, and we repeated it 3 times, and we then had free time to just go and explore the cave. And I sat down inside the cave, and something happened, just everything opened up, everything. And from that moment forward, every stone, everything was speaking to me, and it was so loud and so clear and so amazing. I can't even think that there was a photograph that Gail took of me that I believe I put in the slideshow in the cave. And yes, the sun was shining through the other cave, but there was this almost like an aura that was not quite surrounding me. I did have one that did surround me, but it was right next to me, and it looked like, there was an enveloping energy and an enveloping spirit that was right there with me. And you could feel it, and we all felt that joy, and we all felt that energy, and we all felt that love, every single one of us. And at the Baswadan circle, the 19 stones, this 19-stone circle, when we first had our ceremony in the beginning, and we all walked in silence, and we stood around the center stone, and the center stone kind of leans like this. You'll see it in the slides. The whole time I kept thinking, I need to kiss this stone. There's something, I have to kiss this stone. And so when we were done with our ceremony, Jamie said, you can now explore the stones. And I said, are we allowed to kiss it? I felt like Dr. Jan, Dr. Jan, the stone, and she had to go and kiss all the stones. There was something about that center stone that I just knew that I had to do that. And I had taken a fall a couple of days before that, maybe it was the day before, when we were in Rocky Valley. I fell down flat on my back and kind of cut up my elbow, and it was not fun, but it was, you get through it, right? I felt more dumb than I felt anything else. And Jamie had said that the quartz stone, the mother stone, was a healer stone, and all you have to do is lean on that for a little while and you'll feel better. Well, interestingly enough, I actually approached the one that was next to it, and he said, no, not that one, this one. And I heard the other stone saying, but I heal too. So I gave some time to that stone before I went over to the quartz stone. And just like Gail and many of us, I approached every single stone, and each time I heard something different. Sometimes it was an excited voice of, you're back. And sometimes it was a voice of, oh, my child, I'm so pleased to see you. Nothing can describe what you feel with that. And when we went to the Celtic chapel in Wishing Well, Gail had said she was visited by 3 spirits there. I too was visited when we had our meditation. And the visitation that I had was a message that I was part of the building of that and the creation of that well and the creation of that chapel. And such an incredible, loving spirit feeling, not of loss, not of anything of that sort. It felt that I cried a lot. But it was just that overwhelming feeling of joy of being back somewhere that you know you belong and you know you helped to create at some time or another. And I think that the culmination, there's just no way to speak it. I mean, just the whole journey itself. Each and every one of us together, we all had our own moments together. Some of them were just fun. We had a beautiful bed and breakfast that we got to stay in, that they opened just for us. We didn't even have to have keys for our rooms because we had the whole house to ourselves. I mean, the wonderful things that we got to experience. And in that house, we had, there was a labyrinth in the yard, and it was a beautiful place to meditate. Unfortunately, it was wet most of the time we were there, but I did go and walk the labyrinth because it was after that day at the Wishing Well, and I wanted to, move that energy through, and it was a phenomenal experience. I am so grateful to Dr. Ayleen for arranging this trip for us. I'm thankful for our dearest Jamie George, who has been with us, and it was neat to, he and I know each other because I've been on journeys with him before, and to meet up with him again. And unfortunately, Jeffrey Ash couldn't come and speak to us. He was busy, but Jamie took me specifically to a tree at the Abbey that has a sign underneath that says, in honor of Jeffrey Ash. And it was great to remember him and know him and feel the love and energy once again. Thank you.
Thank you. I know that this trip worked people in a lot of different ways. And like I said, it was just such an honor and so inspiring to see each person as they worked through their piece, moved through it, and then integrated it. So whoever is next, I'll go.
Well, as most of you know, I'm normally not a very fearful person at all, but actually, a little bit of fear and anxiety started out about a week before we went on this trip, because I was worried about packing and getting everything packed that I needed to. What if I forgot something, or, you know, and also I wasn't feeling very well too. Looked at that, you know, a couple days before I was having some really strange physical symptoms, and I was like, I cannot get sick. This cannot happen. I'm leaving, and there's nothing I can do about it. So, you know, I went, and it was really good. You know, I took my meds and precautions and everything, you know, with me. And this is the first time that I have been overseas at all. I've been out of the country before to like Mexico and Jamaica, but I had never been to Europe. This is the first overseas trip that I took, so there was a lot of the unknown there. But being with everybody that I was with was fantastic. This small group was wonderful. Gail and Donna were my roommates along the trip at various times, and you know, we all got along great, which was fantastic. And the major, I guess, challenges probably that I faced again were, you know, more of physical ones. For instance, you know, the 518-foot climb up Glastonbury Tor. I have asthma and arthritis and fibromyalgia. So it was definitely a physical challenge to get up there. But I had Dr. Ayleen next to me as a cheerleader saying, come on, just a few more steps, you can do this, you can do this. And of course, quitting was not an option whatsoever. I mean, I would have kicked myself forever if I had not experienced these things. So I would say the hiking was mild to moderate difficulty. And we had these wonderful English breakfasts, full English breakfasts before we left. So I mean, you're full and you're working it off. But climbing up the Tor, as others have said, was an amazing experience because, you know, I'm up there on the mountain and the wind is blowing and the rain's blowing, and I just kind of turned my face in. And we haven't seen rain here very often, so it was a wonderful experience to experience rain again. And I'm also afraid of heights. So, I mean, there's no rails, and I'm kind of looking down on either side. Oh, boy, this is kind of tall, you know. But like I said, Dr. Ayleen stayed with me, and I mean, it was fantastic. Also, I was very happy to find out through Annie and other people that I was able to post this whole trip and vacation on my Facebook page as we did it. And so it is on my Facebook page. I did post most of the pictures if anybody wants to see it. And as we said, the main, you know, challenges for me were, you know, more physical ones than emotional ones. I mean, once I got there, I mean, I was very calm as far as, yeah, I did bring everything, you know, everything's cool, and, you know, felt safe and loved and, you know, everything else. So, as far as, you know, some of the spiritual ones, I think I was in awe of the whole place. I mean, England, you know, has woods all over the place, and I was busy looking at everything and taking pictures of everything. So some of the spiritual things didn't come so much because I think it was like input overload. I'm, you know, busy looking at all the foliage and things like that. And the people were fantastic. They were very friendly. And, you know, always wanting to know where we were from. And, you know, oh, how long are you staying? Where are you from? Very nice people. But I did get some things happen at Glastonbury Abbey. I did. When we were on that ley line, I got a whole wave of tingling all over my body, basically. And I had a few others of those also at Boscawen. I did get a vision of some small indigenous people all over the place around. But as far as like, you know, past lives or anything, I probably really didn't. The whole trip was amazing. I loved staying at the bed and breakfast. And contrary to what people have told you, English food is fantastic.
Yes.
I had two of the best meals I ever had in my life. I now have an addiction to scones and clotted cream.
Clotted cream, ice cream.
I've been doing it. I've been eating it since I came home, actually. I found a place to get some. I've been eating scones and clotted cream.
Where?
I'll tell you later as soon as I get my supply. It was absolutely fantastic. The strange thing that I did find out, and that we were really mystified about, they will not give you washcloths in the hotels.
Yeah.
They do not give out washcloths anywhere. You need to bring your own. because they considered, I guess, a personal item or whatever. But the whole trip was, completely amazing. I was a little disappointed we didn't get to go to Stonehenge and Bath and St. Nectan's Glen and a few of the other places. But, that's disappointments, that's life. Things are subject to change. But I did have an awesomely fantastic time. And, I'm still letting all of it sink in. It is fantastic. And, I can't wait to go back.
And Leigh, there's one of the pictures that I have in the slideshow that I think you'll enjoy.
Uh-oh.
It was one that you were in it, but you didn't realize you were in it.
Oh, no.
But it is a lovely one.
That's cool.
Alrighty, so
I can't wait to see it.
who's next? Who are we down to?
I know,
Yeah, you gotta go.
Would you like me to flip for it?
You were going to flip for it?
Paper, scissors?
Oh. I thought maybe you were going to do a flip for it.
I can't do flips.
Well, she was the one that was going to flip, so that was good.
This was also my first trip outside of the U.S., except for a day trip to Canada once when I was visiting back in Indiana. But I don't count that. England was amazing. I had some encounters, a couple not so pleasant, on the tour, which, as was said, is windy. The tour itself was covered with this cute little plant that I thought was mint. It's not mint. Don't pick the mint. It's nettles. And I had them in my thumb and forefinger for about 3 days.
Ow!
Yeah. Anyway, and then another encounter later where I slid in mud and fell and my hand landed on a patch of it. Fun. Anyway, as Leigh said, don't let people tell you that the food in England is bad. It's so terrific.
Thank you.
Yes. I had spiritual encounters. I wanted to go early. I wanted to go and spend a week or a few days in Ireland first, because I feel a pull toward Ireland. I was advised after the fact, after I realized that I was not going to be able to do that, I was advised that it was a good thing, because I had past lives that were quite rocky, and I would not be able to
Process.
Manage it alone.
I would not be able to
Integrate.
Right, that, thank you. Until after I had been to England, because I had past lives in England too, but they were not as drastic. Anyway, in the 19 stone circle of Sweden, I felt a very strong past life. There was one stone opposite the entrance that was flattish, and I was drawn to it several times, and I ended up sitting on it once, and I had the very distinct impression that I had been there as a healer, midwife. I'd been born there. That stone was a birthing stone to me. I had been born on it, I had midwifed others on it, and I had given birth on it. And on the way after we left, I was telling Gail about it, and that's when Gail told me what Annie had said. You need to talk to Jan, because she was my student. Yeah. And yeah. And then Oh, a fun point. I was looking for a gift to bring home for my son, okay? And I could not think, I had asked him if there was anything from England that he would like me to bring him. And he had not given me anything. So I'm thinking, okay, he's a microbrewer. How neat would it be to bring him an English tankard? You know, pewter, something like that. The only tankard I saw in our travels was silver, and it was way out of my budget. We walked into one of the pubs where we lunched, and Annie spotted a guy at the bar drinking out of what's called a pint pot. And she pointed it out, and she said, "That's what you need to find. That would be cool." So after we'd had lunch and we'd paid our bills and we were getting ready to leave, I nabbed one of the wait persons, or he might have been the manager, I don't know. Anyway, I approached him and I said, "Okay, I'd like to talk to the manager about purchasing one of the pint pots. My son is a yada yada." I told him the whole story. And he said, "Oh, come here." He reached under the bar and he handed me one. He said, "Here, take this." I said, "Well, how much?" He said, "No, just take it." Something very like that happened at our last hotel in Marlborough. I went to the bar one night and I ordered a pint. And I wanted it in a pot. And she says, "Are you sure?" She looked at me, "Yeah." So anyway, I asked her how much more if I could keep the pot when I was done. And she says, "Oh, I don't think I can do that." About that time, the manager walked up. And so she was asking the manager. Manager says, "Well, how many do we have?" Barkeep didn't know. So she says, I'll go down to the basement and see if I can find," because we have some gents that will only drink out of the pint pots, and we're getting a little low. So she went down, and she came back with one that was obviously used, had some dirty stuff in the bottom, and she was going to have the barmaid wash it. And I said, "Never mind." I said, "It's just going to go in my suitcase with the dirty laundry, you know, for stuffing and padding, right?" And I said, "How much do you want for this?" She says, "No, just take it." So I got 2 pint pots for my son and his girl, because she drinks along with him. I was in
Manifestation mode.
Yes. Good one. Yes, I really was in manifestation mode. At the Abbey, I also had a feeling that I'd been there. But I was there during peaceful times before all the negative stuff started happening. And I felt it was connected somehow with the circle. I had gone from, it was in the same times. And I don't know what time, but I have had past life readings where I was told that I have walked with Jesus. So it was probably about that same time. Anyway, I had a wonderful trip. And I fell in love, absolutely fell in love with the green rolling landscapes. I want to go back. Showed my son my pictures and he wants to go. Who knows?
Yeah, really. Yay!
Contact Jamie, because he said he does trips not just for groups, but if one person wants to go and see the sights, he'll take them, or just a couple of people, so give him a call. Alrighty, and last but absolutely not least, now Deb had a particular position. She was our group scribe as far as taking photos. How many photos did you take?
Over 900.
Wow! Some of them Are
Over
duplicates.
900.
Some are duplicates.
Because I have
Over
on my
900.
photograph
Yeah, my daughter-
where it takes a raw form and a JPEG form. And so it was 900, but that was only for 2 days. 3 days. So I can honestly say that I have.
So she was like our little mountain goat who would, trip up ahead on the path and take pictures of people as they were walking forward. Then she'd trip back down and take pictures from behind. And, it was just so cool to have her there holding that space for us so that, we could have these lovely memories
Our
to come back.
photojournalist.
Our photojournalist.
They're in date order. So you with me, I'm not sure what spiritual aspect I could say for the journey, but I can say that this feather made it all the way back from England without getting destroyed. I didn't even know I had it until I was going through stuff. I knew I collected it, but I forgot I had it, and it survived coming back. Now, there's more stones. I just pick up stones. I ask it to come. Sometimes I'll leave a thank you, but mostly I say thank you verbally, and for some reason nobody's gotten mad at me yet.
It's okay.
Yeah. But this one came from Merlin's cave, just at the entrance. And I'm not sure about these two, if they came from Merlin's cave or not, but they've come from other areas. The funny part of it is when we got them, they were one color. They were darker, a bit, especially because of moistness. But I thought this was black, and look how gray it is. It's two-tone. So the stones changed colors coming to, both being by dried out and coming to a different spiritual area. Thank you. Yes, please. Now, when we went to the tour, I don't know the history to any of it. When they first landed in the airport, they says, "How do you feel being in England?" I says, "We're in an airport. We're in a national. We're not in England yet." So it wasn't until we left the airport that I felt like we were in England. And the drive reminded me a lot of Hackettstown area in New Jersey, because that's where my cousins live. So it's the fall colors there. I saw the parallel between the United States and our world of the shopping and the other stuff, and where they're more open for holistic stores out in the main mall. You touch a building and it tells you, I've been here older than the dirt. That sometimes it's underneath. So the whole place has this energy of, there's history here. You just let your close your eyes and let your imagination fly with it, or if you watch enough movies, let picture movies come in your head, because that's sort of what happens to me. That didn't really happen this trip, by the way. Other than going up to the tour, walking around, turning around, and it's like, that was a lake at one point in time. It was where the mist was coming in. And they built where a lake was. And I could see the stories, the traditional mythological stories of King Arthur, where the Lady of the Lake took the sword Excalibur and stuck it up from it to give to King Arthur, whoever's representation. I do think they're all titles, but that's me in a new realm thinking. So that was the only mystical thing I had, other than the picture taking and every once in a while and comparing. My neat thing is that I may not look Caucasian, but that's my family heritage. Actually is from England area and probably farther back. So my world from a little kid had a lot of white people in it, and in my high school years we moved to a town called San Bruno. And we had the four classes, but that particular town had the 3 classes of, sorry for old terms, I'm not politically correct, and if it's anything else in your mind, I'm not that, it's just how I was raised. White trash, lower middle class workers, and upper middle class. And I just felt like I was back in my childhood of having seen all those where my culture is there. And the wonderful, world, and plus they start Christmas early. They don't have Thanksgiving, so I had to think twice. Wait a second, we're in their land. I'm the foreigner, and that's what I would say. I didn't look like everybody else until I opened my mouth. But those were the things that I noticed what was already familiar in my past that was there, and how we really aren't any different. And so it sort of doesn't matter. I have a feeling I'll have the same place in Dubai or in Ireland or in Africa, just different houses, huts, or whatever. So that's what I got out of this, how similar we really are. And the culture is just one. So.
It really is, the more we experience each other, the more we realize we have more in common than the things that separate us. So what we're going to do is, if I can have Ann and Deb bring the table around, and if Sean, could you turn the lights off, please?
Before we do the slideshow, can I just say one quick thing?
Sure.
Okay. Because I forgot to say it when I was talking.
Well, I tell you what, I'll let you do that.
Okay, so in the slideshow, one of the photos that you're going to see that I took is a picture of our wonderful guide, Jamie George, standing at a stone in Avebury. And this stone in Avebury has a seat in it, and it's a stone that I had some interesting experiences at. Donnie's nodding her head going, I remember. It was raining, so I couldn't sit in the seat again. But the orbs and the amazing spiritual energy that you see around Jamie just really reminded me of how incredible and how magical that place is and how grateful I was to be back. And when I did touch the stone, it just basically said, oh, my child, I'm so glad that you are here. Thank you.
Tell me when you want the music to start.
Yes, tell you what, I will put on my glasses.
Uh-huh.
Yep.